Hello vegan adventurers, welcome to another exciting adventure. Today we're gonna travel back to Slovakia and try some exciting Via Ferrata climbing in Skalka, Slovakia, so let's get started. We're flying from Niš to Bratislava, where the ticket go as cheap as 10 euros. Much better plane than from Belgrade to Vienna, which is like from Second World War. Okay, and here we are already in Slovakia on our way to Skalka, which is near the town of Kremnica in Slovakia. It's not very far from city of Nitra, where my mom lives. If you go on a highway, it takes about 1 hour, and you are in this pristine nature with lots of protected forests. Here we arrive to the Relax Centrum at Skalka, where you can borrow the Ferrata sets for 5 euros for 4 hours or 10 euros for the whole day. But I think you also have to give them 50 euros deposit. So it takes about 10 minutes from the hotel to get to the beginning of first Ferratas, and from here you can also hike to different places in Kremnica mountains. Thanks to the mountains that they let me see into their inside. And here is my mom trying the Ferrata first, so for her it was the first time in her life as well as for us. It's pretty simple to use. You basically attach to the rope with this carabinas on this bungee rope, and you have to unclick yourself each time you're going through this intersection where the rope is attached to the rock. And of course there are 2 ropes for safety reasons. Here is Sanya giving it a go. So we're doing a rock climbing before a few times in Thailand and also South America, but we never done Via Ferrata. So it's a little bit different than rock climbing because you are attached to this steel rope instead of a top rope from up. I guess the main difference to top rope climbing is that you have to unclip and clip yourself constantly. So this will be more similar to lead climbing, where you have to do the same. And also when you fall down a few meters instead of top rope climbing, you don't fall down at all. Another difference to rock climbing is that you're not only using the rocks, but you can also use the metal supports for your feet, and you can also hold the steel rope if you want. So in that case it's more similar, but there are also ferratas where you have no supports like this and you can only use the rock. And finally, here is me trying the Via Ferrata for the first time, and I must admit it feels different than rock climbing. And the main difference for me was mentally the safety, because in a top rope climbing you basically attach to the rope whole time and you don't fall down. But here if you fall down you would probably scratch yourself on the rocks and fall down at least 2 meters if you slide down the rope. So in that case you have to be more careful if you don't want to fall down and scratch yourself a little bit. But on the other hand it's much easier to hold the rope than it is to hold the rocks. And here we are moving to another ferrata, so there is also viewpoints along the way overlooking the Kremnica mountains with amazing forests, and you can also see the Kremnica town down in the valley. And here is the second Via Ferrata, so now we are going more downhill, and the weather was quite rainy last few days, so it's pretty slippery. But this part is the easiest one. I saw people walking down without being secured to the rope. And here we see a table that says the name of the tree, which is the mountain maple, and it says it's 200 years old. So next obstacle was this bridge, which was pretty easy to walk through. And here we got to the main part, which is called chimney, and you have different variants, B and C. So I think the C is the hardest, so I'm not sure if we're gonna do that today. It's 110 meters long with 85 meters of elevation. Here we climb a little bit more up, so we can see we went with the route on the left. But there is a route on the right, which is the hardest part of this ferrata. And today I haven't seen anyone there because it's really wet, so it must be really slippery. And if you look closely, I don't see many extra holds, so it's pretty much full on rock climbing. And it looks like a pretty high difficulty as well. Here we are climbing through this little window passage through the rocks, which was still pretty easy. Now we got to the place where you have two choices to go through, the cave or the ladder. The cave goes on the right and is the less difficult one with the difficulty B, and the ladder is the more difficult, the difficulty C. So this time we decided to go with the ladder, but it looks really steep. Okay, and after we climb the ladder, we got two ways to choose from again. You can either go up the chimney, which is a tunnel where you have to climb up. You can climb around this rock wall and get to Trubačova veža, which is a rock tower. So at first we're hesitant to go because it looked really steep and difficult. So my mom went first to check it out, how difficult it is, if Sanja can do it. And she said it's not too difficult, but it's pretty exposed, that there is a big fall underneath you. end we decided to go, but we're a little bit worried about that rope bridge above us. We have basically only 3 ropes to go through, connecting from Turbachova Veža to mainland. And here you can see we are going through the pass around the rock with a big drop just behind me. So this was definitely the most extreme part of the Ferrata that we experienced, with such a big drop underneath us. Even though the climbing was not so difficult, we felt pretty exposed. After we went around the rock face, it was just a little bit more up to the Turbachova Veža peak, where you have this memorial of some climber. And when you look down here, you can see how it came, so it looks pretty steep, but down there you can see the other route that I was showing you at the beginning, which is the hardest part, but now it's too slippery, so it'd be great to try it some other time when it's dry weather. And here it's Sanya making the final part going through this rope bridge. So it looks pretty steep down there, but it was actually pretty easy to go through. Alright, so we made it safely to the other side, so this Turbachova Veža was definitely the best part of this Ferrata. There was lots of adrenaline, it was really challenging, and you got the best views as well. Alright, so we just finished this Ferrata here that goes through Turbachova Veža, where we've been just climbing. But you can also go through here, which is called the chimney, and it's also pretty hard. We did that already as well. And here you can see the map of all the Ferratas, and it also says you can only go one way. Alright, so we finished climbing on Ferratas at Skalka. It was really great experience, especially the last part for Sanya, getting out of her comfort zone and conquering the fear. But even for me it was a great adventure, a lot of adrenaline, and I will definitely do more of Ferrata in the future. Stay tuned for more adventures from Slovakia, and as always, stay healthy
and stay adventurous.